New polling shows the Turnbull government could take the marginal Queensland seat of Longman from Labor at the looming by-election triggered by the dual citizenship fiasco, with the One Nation vote sitting on 15%. A new ReachTel survey of 1,277 residents across the federal electorate of Longman taken on Thursday night has the LNP polling ahead of Labor on two-party, preferred terms 53% to 47%. But the research, funded by the Australia Institute, also suggests the Turnbull government's proposal to cut tax for Australia's biggest businesses is unpopular, with only 17% endorsement. Sign up to receive the top stories in Australia every day at noon. A majority of respondents, 53.7%, believe the third phase of the income tax cuts proposed by the Turnbull government, to flatten the tax rate on incomes between $41,000 and $200,000, is unfair. Voters were asked whether they supported or opposed tax cuts delivering an average of $530 a year extra for low- and middle-income earners in the first 4 years, and tax cuts for high-income earners in 7 years' time. More Longman voters opposed the measure, 47.3%, than supported it, 38.3%. If Labor lose any of the by-elections and seats it holds, it will be too embarrassing for words. Consistent with a Guardian Essential poll published the day before the budget, more people supported funding for service delivery, 43.5%, than tax cuts, 19.2%, with 28.8% saying revenue should be used to decrease debt and pay back the deficit. Only 1.9% of the sample nominate tax cuts for corporations as a priority. The Labor incumbent in Longman, Susan Lamb, resigned on Wednesday following the High Court's ruling in the Katie Gallagher case. The ruling triggered a Super Saturday of by-elections, which is looming as a mini-election and has been called a referendum on the tax policies of the major parties. It would be a significant upset if the LNP snatched back the seat, because the government has not taken a seat from the opposition at a by-election for a century. The resignations this week have triggered contests in Longman, the Tasmanian seat of Braden, the South Australian seat of Mayo and the Western Australian seat of Fremantle. There will also be a by-election in the seat of Perth, because of the resignation of the Labor MP Tim Hammond for family reasons. Given the contests will stretch party resources in the run-up to a federal election, the Liberals are highly unlikely to run in Fremantle, which will be a Labor-Green contest, and may not run in the seat of Perth either. The Liberals are in the process of pre-selecting candidates for Longman, Braden and Mayo. The Labor incumbents will defend their seats, as will the Centre Alliance MP Rebecca Sharkey, who resigned on Friday. Sharkey is the most likely casualty from the upcoming Super Saturday of by-elections triggered by the latest wave of dual citizenship resignations, analysts have said. Sharkey won the formerly safe Liberal seat in the Adelaide Hills on preferences in 2016, with the help of an unpopular opponent and former MP Jamie Briggs and the once powerful campaign clout of then-Senator Nick Xenophon. This time, she is likely to face a well-known name in Georgina Downer, daughter of former Foreign Minister Alexander Downer, who held this seat from 1984 to 2008. While Sharkey is regarded as a very attentive local member, Xenophon's political cachet has dwindled since the colossal loss of Sawbest at the March state election. Sharkey's party has been rebadged from the Nick Xenophon team to the Centre Alliance, but Flinders University Associate Professor of Politics, Hayden Manning, whose wife ran for Sawbest in the state election, said volunteers and donors felt burnt by the recent loss. Sharkey doesn't have the money, she doesn't have the database, Manning said. But she has been the incumbent for 2 odd years, she has worked tirelessly, she has got good demeanor, and she is a person that this seat has not had, in that she is focused on the community. Internal Liberal Party polling in Tasmania suggested the coalition was in front in Brayton 53-47, but Tasmanian election analyst Kevin Bonham said it was based on an utterly woeful sample size and should be dismissed. Britain has a history of swapping sides and has not been held for more than 2 consecutive terms since 1998. Labour's Justine Key won it in 2016 and has a 2.2% margin. Bonham said he expected Labour would retain all 4 of its seats, failing a catastrophic campaign mistake on behalf of one of its candidates, or a superstar candidate from the Liberal Party. "If they lose any of them it will be too embarrassing for words," he said. He said Longman, which Lamb won from the LNP's Wyatt Roy in 2016 on a 0.8% margin, was the most at-risk Labour seat. Bonham added that Lamb was the most likely to get a sympathy vote over her inability to revoke her UK citizenship. The Nation has named controversial former state candidate Matthew Stephen as its pick for the electorate, and has said it will not preference Labour. "In the state election, Labour put me last and that's exactly where I'd like to see them on my ballot paper," Stephen told The Australian. ALP resources in Western Australia are expected to focus on Perth. Pre-selection is likely to go to Labour State Secretary Patrick Gorman.